So since we somehow finished those two DS game Let's Plays in particular, I think it's about finally time to able to dive back into the original Paper Mario to conclude the last few bits. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys, this is the reason why it took so long as far as it did. I mean, literally, it's been about a month now since I actually have last played this game, and now it's finally time to able to actually go back into this game to do some post-game content, and eventually at some point, we can able to finish the game for reals by going into the final chapter, but that's not going to be until for later on, that's the thing. Greetings everyone, it is I am the one and only, Mexi here, and I am back for the likes of the Mexi Toys videos. I know it has been a very long while, like I said earlier. So anyways, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of Paper Mario, aka for those of you living in Japan, Mario Story for the Nintendo 64. So, if I can recall correctly, that last time we did somehow manage able to finish up the rest of the forms of those quizzes, or to be more accurate though, we did somehow answer the last few remaining questions for the sake of the forms of Chuck Quiz Mode. And as a matter of fact, we've got the insane amount of those star pieces as you can see. So it looks like so far we're now on to 56, but relatively speaking, I was about the fact that I also did somehow realize about the fact that there's still some more star pieces needs to be collected by circumstances anyway. So for the most part though, we'll go ahead and buy the Heart Finder, which obviously after beating an enemy, you're able to actually get more hearts. And I think I'm also going for the Flower Finder, which pretty much does the same thing as the Heart Finder, except you're able to actually grab some, well, flower points essentially. So either way, and as far as the next purchase I might as well go for, I might as well able to consider trying to get myself the HP Drain right here. So as a result, that way we should able to actually have that into our badge collection. So no matter what though, yeah, we'll go ahead and try to able to actually keep on getting some more star pieces later down the road. Especially, it wasn't until whenever we get to tomorrow's case, we got able to do one of those favors. So because of that though, yeah. Because truth be told though, is about the fact that at this point in time, that I don't think it's possible we can able to actually bump into Chuck Quiz Mode anymore. Just because, you know, we've already answered every single questions within all correct answers. So because of that though, yeah, today for this video is about the fact that we are still in the actual process about the forms of some extra content. To be more specifically though, is about the fact that you probably already do realize that we've already managed able to actually got the next batch of badges to able to actually almost try to complete our entire badge collection throughout the majority of the whole game. So relatively speaking, I was about the fact I could assure to you that we are basically almost done when it comes to collecting every single badges, and in addition to that, same applies with the forms those star pieces as well. So, excuse me, because relatively speaking, I was about the fact that, well, first things first though, is about the fact that obviously if you couldn't tell what today is of course, today's day is of course the 9th of June today, in some cases in 2025 today. And you probably already do realize about the fact that ever since in yesterday, yes, we finally managed able to get ourselves the glorious Nintendo Switch 2. And what's my first impressions about the forms of the Nintendo Switch 2, you're probably wondering? Well, truth be told, I actually really enjoy it so far. I mean, it does take a bit of a while to get used to with the actual, well, the user interface. In addition to that though, is about the fact that of course we've already tested out not only Mario Kart World, but in addition to Sonic X Shadow Generations as well. Just in case I can able to keep myself going for the first two Switch 2 games to start things off, and eventually at some point until next month, then obviously though we can able to expect to realize that not only does Donkey Kong Bonanza is going to be on its way to Nintendo Switch 2, but in addition to Super Mario Party Jamboree, Nintendo Switch 2 edition, plus Jamboree TV is on its way as well, and eventually until 2 months time, it will be, well, Kirby and the Forgotten Land, plus Sky Crossed World is going to be on its way as well, so we can pretty much expect the hype about the forms of some extra content for some Switch 1 games ported over to Nintendo Switch 2 with some enhancements and all that stuff, so you can pretty much expect what this is going. So either way, so anyway, And there's also another thing I want to classify for mentioning about this though, and that's what appears to be for the fact that I was originally trying to able to actually describe upon the actual Xbox Game Showcase has already been happened since yesterday, but of course, as you probably already expect, I've been busy playing through my Nintendo Switch 2, you know? Especially that I finally managed to get the Nintendo Switch 2 at long last, so as a result though, there's no need to worry about the phones of a lot of scalpers out there. Like, seriously, whoever thought the actual scalpers was a good idea? But I digress. So as you can see, we actually got ourselves our next badge, which appears to be a yet another HP Plus badge, which is self-explanatory, so I don't think we can able to actually describe about that again, just because technically speaking, I was about the fact I think generally this is now our... I don't know about you, because like I said before, it's been about a whole month since I actually have last played this game for sure, just because, as you probably already expect, that not only does Joy did somehow recently finish up with Super Princess Peach, but in addition to that though, is about the fact that, well, suffice to say, Lola Bunny also did manage to able to wrap things up everything in terms of Pony Kart DS, a ROM hack of Mario Kart DS. So, relatively speaking, I was about the fact that at this point in time, we are finally going back on to playing through Paper Mario, and as far as the phones of the weekend Let's Play as far as I'm aware, well, time will definitely tell though, especially because considering for the fact that we actually did done 2 DS game Let's Plays in the past few weeks, especially considering for the fact that after all I fully managed able to get myself fully recovery, after that almost a burnout kind of moment when it comes to experiencing this whole thing, especially considering for the fact that, well, you know, I've been busy recently with all that, you know, Nintendo Switch 2, and you get the idea. So yeah, let me know in the comments down below for the question of the day. What was your first impressions about the phones when you first try out the Nintendo Switch 2? Because I'd like to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. Because truth be told though, is about the fact I'm still very curious to know about the phones of when exactly is Metroid Prime 4 Beyond is going to be releasing next. In addition to that though, we're really also hoping for the sake of the phones of what's the release date is going to be for the likes of Hollow Knight Silk Song, because generally it's still technically is going to be releasing until sometime in this year though, but chances are though is about the fact that we'll have to wait and see what happens in due time. So anyway, and also whenever I managed able to play myself Mario Kart World on my spare own time, I do discover something about the fact that it's kind of interesting to say the least, and that's what appears to be for the fact that for those of you who don't know, well, truth be told though, is about the fact that, well, if you do manage to have your Nintendo Switch 2 to begin with, apparently though, both Donkey Kong and in addition to Princess Peach, and the honorable mention for the sake of the phones of not only Toad, but also Toadette as well, apparently though, those characters in particular have got their voice replaced, which as a result, yeah, it's a little bit, confusing, especially because no matter what though, because I'm almost assuming for the fact that, well, Samantha Kelly did a really dang good job when it comes to voicing not only Princess Peach, but in addition to Toad and Toadette as well, ever since back in 2007, all the way up to last year in 2024, so no matter what though, I'm very curious to know what the actual voice actor is going to be this time around. But we shall wait and see what happens in due time though, especially because, well, I'm afraid though, during the events of yesterday, we've come across into yet another copyright claim during the events of the entire unboxing video for Nintendo Switch 2. I mean, nothing major, but it's just that one specific clip that I want to bring this up, and that's what it appears to be for the fact that you notice that particular scene where after when Joy did somehow mention about the forms of, you know, the hype we can now able to experience about Nintendo Switch 2, but then as soon as when she turns around, and then she managed able to saw a whole group of characters waiting to be hyped about Nintendo Switch 2 for the first time, in addition to Toadsworth as well. Well, apparently though, that particular part is going to be muted due to the forms of the copyright claim. So because of that, I do apologize for this point folks, because sometimes though, YouTube can be felt a bit stingy sometimes when it comes to likely for its, you know what I'm saying, sound effects, in addition to licensed music here and there. I mean, it's a bit unlucky for my department, because that could have gone pretty well, especially considering for the fact that, well, Honestly, though, it's just about the fact that it's just the way how it is. So, yeah, we're not able to stick around with it, unfortunately. So, anyway, for the time being, though, let's discuss upon the next thing I want to discuss, and that's what appears to be the huge focus of the topic for this video. And that's what appears to be for the fact that, aside from, you know, the post-game content and stuff like that, but as well as that, though, is about the fact that, yes, there are even some more bunch of gaming announcements they somehow brought up, all thanks to the forms of the most recent event sent on Friday, which appears to be the Summer Game Fest. And let me tell you, there are certain exciting parts I would like to discuss upon, whilst other times, though, about the fact that there are some, meh choices, and in addition to that, though, some surprises here and there, which, we'll discuss more about that. Oh, no! Ah, there goes the jamming jelly! Ah, jeez. Yeah, that's what happens right there if you manage able to gather the insane amount of those pigs, and then one of those pigs decides to run away, and as a result, one of those items will randomly appear. Depending on what specific type of pig, you're able to actually just try to let them escape from that particular fence, or the pen. So, yeah, that's essentially how this goes. So from now on, though, let's just head back into the flower fields so we can able to actually start able to be doing the forms of level upgrading. Because like I said before, that the easiest way to do this, though, is about the fact that we need to find this rare enemy called, as you probably would expect, Amazing Daisy. So no matter what, though, it's time to able to actually obtain some more star points. So no matter what, though, again, the process is pretty much, you know, easy as far as I'm aware. But even then, though, we've already technically did the process ever since about a couple of parts back. Now, there's one thing I surprisingly forgot to mention about this is that depending on what level you're in, you're able to actually get a different amount of those star pieces. Like, for example, if you managed able to come across into, let's just say, Amazing Daisy, that obviously the level cap for that enemy was obviously level 100 and stuff like that, because, you know, her defense is actually ridiculously high, although not so much in during forms of my process anyway. So no matter what, though, we can able to expect able to try to reach ourselves level 26 for this whole process, and as you can tell, I try to sped things up with the actual footage and everything, just because I just want to get this process done and over with. So as a matter of fact, that we can able to actually skip the entire battle transitions here and there, except with the forms of Amazing Daisy, because, you know, that she does have 20 HP as to be expected, and obviously the defense power was obviously a little bit more incredible, or to be more specifically, though, with the attack power, to be more exact. So, I mean, like I said before, it's been about a whole month since I actually have last played this, for sure. But I'll promise you guys about the fact that hopefully by the time it's right, we can able to actually try to conclude this game by the end of this month in particular, whilst the time is right. Well, at least assuming, depending on the forms of power factor, for the later parts to come, for the last few bits of Paper Mario, it's going to be a lot of emphasis on edits and stuff like that, mainly with the forms of jump cuts, in addition to some footage has been speed up a little bit to make this process a bit faster and quicker. I mean, no matter what, though, it's about the fact that I just really wish if I was going to go on to the next Let's Play, which appears to be Super Mario Party Jamboree, but that time can't wait, though, especially considering for the fact that now the Switch 2 edition is going to be on its way. I'm not entirely sure if I was going to able to actually show you guys that. I mean, time will definitely tell, though. So anyway, let's get back into the forms of this whole entire process about the forms of, depending on how many star points you get, depending on what level cap you're in. Like, for instance, if you're in level 1, if you managed able to defeat Amazing Daisy, you would able to actually get 50 star points. So no matter what, though, assuming, of course, if you managed able to actually activate the spell casting from the likes of in Chapter 2 to begin with, and if you're lucky enough, you were able to get whopping 100 star points, but unfortunately, that's not the case, unfortunately. But regardless of such, if you're in level 2, as well as level 3, you're able to actually get 49 star points. So, and as far as level 4 is concerned, and level 5, you're able to actually get 48 star points. And if you're in level 6 and level 7, you're able to actually get 47 star points. And if you're in level 8 and level 9, you're able to actually get 46 star points. So, and if you're in level 10 and level 11, you're able to actually get 45 star points. And as far as level 12 and level 13 is concerned, you're able to actually get 44 star points. And for level 14 and level 15, you're able to actually get 43 star points. So, and as far as level 16, as well as level 17, as far as I'm aware, you're able to actually get 42 star points. And as far as level 18 and level 19, you're able to actually get yourselves the forms of 41 star points. So, yeah, I guess it's that. And as far as I'm aware, in level 20 and level 21, you're able to actually only get 40 star points, which technically we've already did in the past few videos ago. Now, if I can recall correctly, we're now in the process of being the fact that we're now on to technically level 24, as far as I'm aware. Obviously, though, we're more able to actually just to discuss on that in a second. So, for level 22 and level 23, you're able to actually only obtain 39 star points. So, as a matter of fact, we're now on to level 24. So, this means between both level 24 and level 25, basically, though, that we only going to be a chance to get 38 star points. And finally, for level 26, you're able to actually stick around with like 37 star points. So again, if you're lucky enough, if you do manage to able to cast a spell or anything else like that, you're able to actually get the insane amount of those star points. So although as soon as we're able to get to the sequel, The Thousand Year Door, either on the GameCube or nowadays the Switch version, my goodness, you get the insane amounts of those star points, believe me, because generally speaking, though, there are two best areas, despite the fact that one of them is a bit time-consuming and is also very lengthy, but I will have to admit though right away, one of those chapters in particular will be the best spot for you, which again, we'll discuss more about that if we dive into The Thousand Year Door, presumably by next year or something like that. So either way, time will definitely tell though, time will definitely tell. So yeah, for the most part, that's as far as I can say about the forms of Amazing Daisy as far as the whole entire process goes, especially with all that particular level up grinding. But then again, the maximum amount of level ups you can only reach up to is of course 27, so just to ensure for the fact that again, because of the limitations, and on top of all that stuff though, it's about the fact that that's as far as we can able to discuss on that front. So but anyway, back into what I was saying about the forms of the Summer Game Fest announcements. Suffice to say though, is about the fact that there are certain games I was really looking forward to during the forms of this whole entire Summer Game Fest. Now technically that Lola Bunny did already mention about this briefly during the forms of Pony Cards DS, and that's what it appears to be for the fact that not only we got ourselves a brand new release date for Sonic Racing Cross Worlds, and that's going to be available until sometime in September, specifically September 25th in 2025. So chances are though is about the fact that we can able to get the hypeness for it. So as you can see, we've now reached ourselves into, let's just say, level 26. So either way though, because chances are though, I can assure you, as a matter of fact, I think this might actually be the last time we're going to be seeing Amazing Daisy for this playthrough. Well, we'll meet again at some point in a sequel, Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door, but that can wait though, because like I said before, we'll try our best able to actually go through every single Mario RPG game for the chronological order when it comes to likely through release by release, because I was originally trying to able to actually tackle through the remake of The Thousand Year Door or Super Mario RPG, but time can obviously wait. So again, I do apologize about the fact that my commentary is a little bit iffy sometimes, because again, like I said, it's been about a whole month since I've last played this, so even trying to get back into the forms of the actual Let's Play of this game in general, so. But anyway, as I was saying, for the fact that with Sonic Racing Cross Worlds, is that obviously not only does it bring some more gameplay footage, but also with like, so many guest characters is going to make its appearance. Like, for instance, though, as far as what Lola Bunny did already mention about this, is that, well, Hatsune Miku is going to make its playable debut, in addition to Achiban from the likes of the Yakuza series, in addition to Joker from Persona. So I believe those three characters in particular is the first three characters you start things off. But I also did somehow found out there's technically two types of the forms of specifically the actual specific passes. So, for instance though, by the end of that particular trailer, for the sake of the forms of Sonic Racing Cross Worlds, well, apparently though, the Minecraft playable characters, specifically, are not only Steve, but in addition to Alex and Creeper, they are all going to be playable for the sake of the forms of based off from the the Minecraft world. So yeah, that's actually quite intriguing, especially that we're about to be getting a Minecraft track in Sonic Racing Cross World. So because of that, I think this is now technically the third time that Sonic and Steve meet up each other, ever since in both Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, in addition to the collaboration of the films of Sonic's 30th anniversary back in 2021, in addition to the most recent DLC for the time. So, chances are that was about the fact that I'm super duper excited for it. But there's one little gripe I have with this though, and that's what it appears to be for the fact that, yes, just like the forms of how it does on the past Sonic games as of now, mainly, for example, with the forms to start things off with Sonic Colors Ultimate, and all the way up to Sonic X Shadow Generations, as a matter of fact, you do realize about the fact that once again, it did manage to able to retain the Digital Deluxe Edition, and well, to make things a little bit more scummy at this time around though, is that the price tag, specifically for those of you who lived in America, is ridiculous. Like, you have no idea how much it's going to cost you. If you do manage to able to get the game with the Digital Deluxe Edition as a bundle, it will cost you whopping $90. So it doesn't really matter what platform you go onto, either on the forms of the PlayStation 4, or PlayStation 5, or even Xbox One, even Xbox Series X or Series S, and even PC Steam, and even Nintendo Switch 1, as well as Nintendo Switch 2. I mean, chances are though is about the fact I'm pretty sure that the first 3 versions, or the first couple of versions, were only expected to be releasing from now on in September 25th, likely on the PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X/S, PC Steam, and Nintendo Switch 1 first, for the sake of the forms of that particular releases. So as far as I'm aware though, much like the forms of how it does it on Sonic X Shadow Generations, I'm pretty sure about the fact that the Switch 2 version will be gets later date. So at least if I was assuming so anyway, just for likely to try to optimize with Nintendo Switch 2 features and stuff like that. So, but I digress. So, no matter what though, it's about the fact that as far as what, you know, Lola Bunny also mentioned about this before, is about the fact that we're about to be going into that familiar territory with the forms that free updates kind of thing, ever since in not only in, Mario Tennis Aces, but in addition to Mario Golf Super Rush, as well as Mario Strikers Battle League Football, that no matter what though, during the forms have been later on throughout the majority of the lifespan, that we're about to be consistently trying to get additional playable characters in the forms have been 2 different methods. There's free updates, meaning about the fact that more racers will join in the fray. So at the moment we've got 3 of them, which I've already mentioned about this earlier. So no matter what though, it's going to be divided into multitude of waves, much like the forms of how it does it in, well, as I say, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, mind you. So no matter what though, we can able to expect to realize that there's more drivers to come. So we might able to actually get a grand total of 13 free update playable characters during at some point, likely in between both 2025 and 2026 respectively, and meanwhile there's also the forms of the Season Pass. So no matter what though, I'm pretty sure for the Season Pass though, it does manage to able to actually bring, well, as we've already established that before, there's the forms of Steve, Alex, and Creeper from Minecraft, but there's also additional 12 more slots, making a grand total of, well, let's just say, 15 characters is going to be on its way onto Season Pass. So no matter what though, I am very, very, very curious to know what the playable characters are, especially considering for the fact that we can able to actually expect the hype about the forms of Sonic Racing Cross Worlds, well, at least as much as I am still a huge fan of Sonic the Hedgehog after all, but I will admit though, the price tag nowadays is going to get, well, a little bit more of a suspect, mind you, because no matter what though, I can assure to you about the fact that, remember how about the fact that the majority of the Switch 2 games has actually gone pretty expensive nowadays? Well, nothing even compared to the forms of the most recent Sonic game coming up soon, by consist of, well, let's just say, I'm pretty sure for the fact that with the Switch 1 version is the only cheaper option. Well, mind you, it still feels a bit slightly pricey sometimes, but I will say though is about the fact that with the Switch 1 version, it's only going to cost you for about roughly £55, at least as far as I'm aware of, but nothing compares to any other versions. Like for instance, there's the PS4 version in addition to the Xbox version and PlayStation 5 versions. My lord, £65 for that! Ah, jeez, what the heck is going on with the actual economy these days? Like, let's not get ahead of ourselves at this point right now when it comes to this whole entire, well, economy situation. But, relatively speaking, though, is about the fact that I also did somehow found out that, yes, as promised, about the fact that there are some Sonic Prime, playable characters is going to be on its way onto Sonic Racing Cross Worlds, which, at the moment right now, we can able to expect to see not only 9, but in addition to, Knuckles the Dread, and in addition to Rusty Rose as well. So I think that's the only, characters they only showing us at the moment. But, if you do manage to able to pre-order the game, it doesn't matter what version of the game you get, you're able to actually get yourselves this very unexpected playable character from Sonic Unleashed. And that's what it appears to be, none other than Sonic the Werehog, which, as a matter of fact, that's pretty crazy, all things considered. I can imagine about the fact that if Sonic the Werehog were able to actually become a voice of, Roger Craig Smith, which, gee, I can imagine if that became reality, and I'm like, is it just me, or is his voice sounds a little bit different this time around? Because I keep on thinking about the forms of Jason Griffith ever since back in Sonic Unleashed in 2008. So, yeah, that's, that's something, I guess. So, but anyway, in terms of the next thing I want to discuss upon, in terms of the forms of gaming announcements in particular, well, apparently though, there's this upcoming party game is going to be on its way, and at some point in this year in particular, for 2025, ironically enough, exactly the same year as the forms of Super Mario Party Jamboree, Nintendo Switch 2 Edition, plus Jamboree TV, and that will have to be a LEGO game of some sort, which appears to be ironically called LEGO Party, which, kind of think about it though, for I've seen the gameplay footage of it though, it reminds me of this so much of classic traditional Mario Party. Like, it does manage to have a board gameplay as we expected, so yeah, no need for car shenanigans or anything else like that, thankfully. So chances are though is about the fact that we can able to expect to see that, you know, individual space movements, and in addition to that though is about the fact that we can able to expect also for the fact that no matter what though, there's going to be likely 60 minigames, which I know it doesn't seem to be quite a lot, compared to the forms of how it does it on, well, the most recent Mario Party game, Super Mario Party Jamboree, plus with the forms of the Switch 2 edition coming up, which consists of the forms of, you know, 112 minigames in the original Switch version, in addition to, well, let's just say 132 minigames on the Switch 2 version. So, because the forms of mouse controls, and in addition to Nintendo Switch camera support, but I digress. So, and as far as I'm aware though, is that with LEGO Party game, I believe it's about to due out at some point in 2025, like I said this before, and as a matter of fact, it's going to be releasing on not only for the PlayStation 4, but as well as PlayStation 5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X/S, PC Steam, and of course the Nintendo Switch as well. Now, for those of you probably wondering about the fact that how come I somehow managed able to jump cut the actual Crystal Palace bit, because actually as it turns out, there is that specific badge I was missing on, and that's what it appears to be for the fact that it does manage to require you to able to actually go for the other side of one of those rooms. So if you couldn't tell already, this is going to be a post-commentary throughout the majority of this part, because, and that could be also applies with any other parts here and there, just because there's a lot of discussions I would like to point these out in terms of more gaming announcements, in addition to discussing upon my thoughts about Nintendo Switch 2 as a whole. So generally speaking, that was about the fact that there's a lot going on here, which, again, because of how the fact that we're now entering into the final stretch of Paper Mario, just before you're able to actually conclude our second Let's Play on RPG genres. So, and speaking of which though, is about the fact that I also did somehow found out that apparently though, CapKing74, or Stuart in general, he is still not taking a break on RPG stuff. Which, as a matter of fact though, is about the fact that he obviously already did finish not only Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition on Switch, but in addition to Super Mario RPG, specifically the Switch remake, but now he's going on to yet another RPG game, but this time what appears to be none other than Miitopia, which is basically like a combination of both, you know, role-playing game, in addition to a simulation game of some sort, which I've never actually played a game before, plus it's mainly because I'm more into the forms of, any other titles, such as, well, that was back in Journey Evolves Within 2021, where Miitopia gets ported over to Switch. Journey Evolves Within 2021, because around that time, I was immediately excited about not only WarioWare Get It Together, but in addition to Mario Party Superstars, and in addition to any other stuff in general, like Sonic Colors Ultimate, despite the fact that the reception's gone a bit, well, let's just say a massive backlash with all that Switch release version, just because of all that technical issues and all that stuff. So yeah, as you can see, we got ourselves a triple dip badge, which this allows you to able to use whopping 3 items in a singular turn. So no matter what though, that particular badge will be a godsend, assuming of course depending on how many items you're going to be holding up for. So chances are though is about the fact I believe that was the only appearance for that particular badge, because unlike the sequel, The Thousand Year Door, the Triple Dip badge will never appear in A Thousand Year Door, considering about the fact that imagine that, kind of think about it though, I'm presuming to you that particular badge is basically unused on The Thousand Year Door, to tell you the truth, so yeah, I guess that's all I can really think about it. Oh, in addition about the fact that with LEGO Party is going to be on its way, but there's also yet another LEGO game is also going to be on its way, but with a different title, which appears to be, well, let's just say, LEGO Voyagers, which, as a matter of fact, is going to be releasing on not only on PlayStation 4, but alongside with PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X/S, and even especially noticeable with Nintendo Switch of all things. So yeah, it's pretty interesting, all things considered. So yeah, as you can see, we somehow managed able to found the start piece right there, in addition to that jamming jelly for later on, especially because, oh man, trying to do cooking in this game though, I will admit to though right away, it just feels a bit, I don't know, a bit time consuming to me, because I'm still pretty much used to it the forms of The Thousand Year Door and Super Paper Mario, because in those games, like I said before, they do offer you some sort of like a checklist on the main menu on the pause screen, so just in case you can able to keep in track of what recipes you did somehow cooked. So, but unfortunately though, we are basically stuck with the limitations in the, well, the original Paper Mario as a matter of fact, so oh well, no big deal, that's the only thing we had to get accustomed to, I'm afraid. So, chances are though is about the fact that we can able to expect what this is going, so yeah, because for the most part though, it's pretty bizarre about the fact that we somehow got 2 LEGO games is going to be on its way in Summer Game Fest, but apparently though, that LEGO Voyagers does not receive the actual release date for it just yet though. Maybe time will tell though in a later down the road. And there's also another game has also been revealed in the Summer Game Fest, and that's what appears to be the returning Nicktoons kind of game. I mean, it's been a very long time since, let's just say, a baseball game of some sort, which I know for a fact it did came out on the Wii back in 2011, which I'm pretty sure that game was only exclusive to America, because chances are though, for those of you who lived in the UK, we never played baseball, so instead we did manage to play Rounders instead, which I guess is like the equivalent to baseball, except, well, it's hard for me to explain about that particular subject. So, but anyway, the game in question was Nicktoons and the Dice of Destiny. So no matter what though, that game is going to be releasing on not only on Nintendo Switch 1, but in addition to PC Steam, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series X/S. So apparently, the PS4 version and Xbox One versions are not listed. So yeah, it seems kind of strange, kind of thinking about it. So chances are though is about the fact at this point in time, about the fact I'm not entirely sure if PS4 or Xbox One will stop supporting in terms of additional games here and there. I mean, time will definitely tell for this point, folks. Time will definitely tell. So with that being said, folks, is that we got to end things off at this point right here, I'm afraid, guys. So join me next time for some more of Let's Play of Paper Mario for the Nintendo 64. It's that suffice to say, we can now able to actually decide to do some favors to ask from that certain person in Chapter 1. So I'll see you guys until tomorrow. Later, fellas.